Hello boys and girls, remember me? In today's episode, we are after everybody's favourite quarry, the humble rat. We are currently en route to a private location. This is a small holding that has lots of different animals and it has lots of rats. So they are going to get poisoned, but before the poison goes down, we're going to go and twonk some off with the air rifle. Stay tuned, it should be a good video. In today's video we're using the Air Arms S510 in .22 caliber, topped off with the ATN4K Pro scope, the 5-20 version. The additional IR is the Ode Pro KL52. As you can see, the paddock unfortunately is a little overgrown with nettles, so we arrived an hour before dark to try and get the lay of the land and find out where the best shooting location may be. Where that little tuft is? Yeah, just yon side of it. So here we are in this wallaby pen, roughly an hour before dark, and taking the advice of the landowner, it's at this point in the day where the rats get quite active. As soon as they've been fed for the evening, the rats start to come out, and it wasn't long before the rustling of nettles and the odd flicker of the brown rat running left and right did we find. There was, however, an occasion early on during daylight whereby one stood still just a little too long and gave me enough of a chance to get one squeezed off nice and early. A shot, that is, on a rat, nothing else. Early doors, I felt like we needed to move because having moved around in amongst the nettles, my feet were falling in many holes. So we actually decided to flip around and actually shoot in the direction that we were initially standing, because that's the area that gave us the best chance, I feel, of seeing into what was clearly the nest. As you can see, this rat here underneath the nettles, difficult to see, but nevertheless that's number 2 down for the evening. So we waited for it to get a little bit darker, switched the ATN scope over to the night vision mode, and then things started to come alive. As here you can see a very cute wallaby, something that's definitely not native here in the UK. Something that is native to the UK and in plentiful supply, certainly in this paddock, is the rat. Now, this kind of shooting, I actually quite like it. It's not the easiest, and as you can see, as the rats move in between these nettles and you can just capture glimpses of them, it makes for some testing shooting. Nevertheless, when you nail them, it makes them very rewarding. Now, you would think these rats would be a little easier, but actually adding a slight bit of complexity is the closeness of this rat means that my pellet will actually still be travelling up to its 0 point, so I need to put a little bit of hold over on that one. And as you can see here from this still image, it wasn't a miss, it actually penetrated the rat, but it clearly didn't knock it out straight away, unlike this one. That one went and died in the bush because I tracked it with the thermal. That one, though, was a little bit more definitive, much like this one. Straight between the eyes. Look up, buddy. That's a fucking monster, that one. three tools here that make the job a little easier. A cocking aid on my lever to make cocking that much easier and seamless. My Pulsar Accolade thermal binoculars literally can't do any type of shooting without these now here. You can actually see the rats moving in the undergrowth, and you can track things that you've shot. It makes life so much easier. Expensive, but well worth it. And my gun there resting on my Primos trigger sticks, but in the night vision clamp, making things again nice and easy because it holds my gun in position while I can scan around with both hands using the thermal. Helps if you've got a pellet in. I said it helps if you put. Yeah, all of a sudden, as you can probably see from the timestamps there seem to be quite a lot of rats waking up and coming out from our left hand side here. One of the bits of kit we've got which is quite handy is the camcorder I'm using here, the Sony AX50 I've put an additional IR on that, and the gamekeeper who stood to my left is using this to spot, as you can see, a rat there moving just to the right there of the wallaby, and that intense IR is the IR that's on my rifle. But what's good about using this setup is it's got a nice wide field of view, so we can keep our eye on the wallabies and see if they're about to bound into shot. As you'll see in a moment or two, there was a pretty close call. And I have been shooting around livestock for well in excess of a decade now, so I am quite used to it, and I'm happy to report that I have never once had a mishap or an accident. Once again, flipping over to a thermal view, and we've been shooting for a little over an hour or more, maybe an hour and a half, and as you can see, we had started to litter the place with rat carcasses. We were going to be able to pick up the majority, I guess, of what we shot, but clearly there were some that went off and died a little bit further back into the vegetation, and I didn't fancy retrieving every single one of them, of which the landowner agreed she would actually come out with a strimmer and pick them up in the week. Just check out this little son of a bitch here. He just dipped his head as I squeezed the trigger, and luckily gives him a little shave there as he jumps up and buggers off for cover. Drilled that one. Stone dead. Cool. Now this rat here was a little awkward, but by the time it had finished moving around it was about 12 yards away, and I gave it just a little squeak to catch its attention, hopefully turn it around. I love it when a plan comes together like that. Well, with 38 rats on the clicker, it was time to start thinking about getting picked up. I'd actually left my picker-upper tool, as I call it, in the back of my truck, so all we had was a pair of gloves and a bin liner to be able to pick these rats up and get them popped into. We picked up what we could. As I said, some of them went deep into the vegetation, but we were able to retrieve a grand total of 28 of the 38 rats shot this evening. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you like what you see and you're stopping by for the first time, please consider subscribing. For now, take care, stay safe, and as always, happy shooting.